This is urgent. Joker must be stopped at all costs.
Watch out, Joker! This one looks kinda tough. Really? I think you underestimate me.
Begin.
Oh, come on. Oh, bitch.
What the hell are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm playing Injustice.
The only injustice happening here is you wearing that mask. And stop talking like Batman.
Why? Fine. But seriously, dude, I gotta stop the Joker. I mean, come on.
Trust me, dude. The Joker is nothing to worry about. Hey guys, welcome to Season 3, Episode 10 of Fight Your Rival. I'm Natal.
And I'm Batman. Obviously. Now the Joker's still in my town, so I'm gonna run and let Mike take over for the Rushdown.
The Rushdown.
Hey, it's good to have you back.
It's good to be back. Batman was out in a hurry.
Yeah, definitely Batman was here.
He's a little stressed out, but he should be happy because according to the Injustice website, he's the winner of the Injustice Battle Arena.
Very true. If you guys haven't been paying attention, the Injustice Battle Arena is finally over, and the winner, top dog of the whole event was Batman. Obviously, it was a scam, and Batman vs. Superman was the last one, and of course, everyone was going to pick Batman, except me. I voted for Superman. Sorry, Supes, you didn't win, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this coming. Batman's the biggest superhero,
Yeah.
around right now. Dark Knight, all that. Maybe when Man of Steel comes out, it'll leverage things out. But even this is week 1 of the game, we still have tons of news to talk about. Lobo has been revealed as the first official DLC character during the Battle Arena special stream. And how do you feel about that?
I'm actually very happy because a couple of episodes back, we mentioned that tweet from Ed Boon.
Yes.
When he was hinting at the characters, and one of them was Lobo, one of the other ones was Animal Man, and Blue Beetle, and whatnot. So I'm actually happy that we did get Lobo, because that's the one character I really wanted.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm definitely very excited to see who else we're going to get.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with the MK9 Seasons Pass, the characters that they rolled out, so I think this will be just as good, if not better. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the characters that we can play, and let's dig right into Injustice right now.
All right, guys, here you go. Here's a special Judgment Zone for Injustice.
Judgment Zone.
So unless you've been living under a rock or just really hate video games, you probably realize that Injustice is finally out. The game is everywhere, billboards, subway stations, the internet, your toilet, you can't get away from it. And we finally got to play it and got a lot to say about it.
We definitely have a lot to cover. As you know, when Netherrealm Studios puts a game out, they put it out with lots of content.
Yes.
And we don't want to skimp over any specific sections, so we're going to go category by category. And the first category, actually, we're going to talk about are the graphics for Injustice Gods Among Us.
The graphics to me are a mixed bag. I do like how the characters look overall. The stages are gorgeous. There's certain things you can tell the developers put less time into, like the secondary characters and story mode.
Yeah.
So, for a game that has so much going on in it, I could kind of forgive it. But, I'd say it doesn't look as good as MK9, but for a fighter, it looks solid.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it looks good for what it's delivering. I mean, the backgrounds alone, I have to give them tons of credit for that. It really does look like the developers worked on the backgrounds first, and then worried about the characters second. It's obvious they spent most of the polygons on the main characters, because like you said before, in story, the second tier people look like crap.
They look like plastic.
Yeah, they do. But the backgrounds are amazing. The way the lights go out in the Gotham stage, the way the statues fall apart in the Hall of Justice, just the overall movement of the backgrounds is what really impressed me, and that's the one shining gem for me graphically to the game.
While there are certain things that are overlooked, just the general flow of a fight to me looks good.
Yeah.
So I definitely, it's not the best looking game to release all year, but it's still really good looking compared to the other fighters. So
yeah, definitely.
And obviously, when it comes to fighting games, graphics are nice, but it's really all about the gameplay.
Definitely, 100% about the gameplay. Now, if you guys are a fan of MK9, you could probably pick up Injustice and get the core mechanics of the game down. You know, it has the EX moves, just like how MK had them, where you would have to hit block in MK to perform your EX moves. You have to hit an additional button in this one as well.
Now, even though the game shares a lot of similarities with Mortal Kombat, this is definitely not a reskin of Mortal Kombat with superheroes.
Definitely not.
Lots of new mechanics in this game. There are, obviously, the block button from MK is gone, so you just hold back to block. There's kind of a universal overhead and universal wall bounce, which could be done with back in one or forward in one. That really lets you set up really interesting combos. You could add meter to it if you want armor. There's the wager system, which when your two characters clash, you can bet a certain amount of your meter. And whoever bets the most gets some kind of bonus, whether it be extra damage, extra meter, extra health. There is a counter, just like the breaker in Mortal Kombat. You spend a bar to get the opponent the hell off you. And just my overall impressions, like I said when we played the demo, it feels like a faster, more open-ended MK9 to me. You know, people might disagree. People might think it feels nothing like Mortal Kombat. People might think it's just like Mortal Kombat. I felt the game was a faster pace, you know, more, even Marvel-esque Mortal Kombat.
Another way they pretty much blended MK and Marvel together are the options to change your actual control scheme. Now, you guys out there, if you are fans of the MK series, you could keep them as standard MK buttons, down, forward, and corresponding attack, back, forward, so on and so forth. If you guys are fans of Street Fighter games, 2D games, and you want to actually step into a 3D game, choose that option, and yes, they do change the buttons accordingly to Street Fighter controls. So a back forward X move would be half circle forward X now. Down forward would be a quarter circle forward, and so on and so forth. Which I think is awesome because, you know, this day and age, not everyone uses the same type of controller. Some use sticks, some use the fight pad, some use the standard controller. And with that, I think it really makes the game accessible to everyone in all forms of the fighting game genre.
I agree. I think with this game, Netherrealm wanted to bring together every community possible, whether it be Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, or otherwise. They did a really good job of that, and I know you've been playing the game on pad.
Yes.
I've been playing the game on stick. Personally, I played MK9 only on pad.
Yeah.
I found the game to be an absolute nightmare to play on stick because I didn't like having to reach over to block. I didn't like having to reach over to throw. This game is a totally different ballgame. There are lots of shortcuts that make the game actually really pleasant to play on stick. There's a button dedicated to interacting with the objects, but you could get around that just by pressing light and medium together. Just like you could do a throw doing light and heavy, and which feels just like a Street Fighter game.
Definitely.
There's even a shortcut for doing your super, where basically, if you're used to Capcom games, and you use all the shortcuts properly, you actually never have to veer from the main 6 buttons, which is really cool.
Yeah, definitely. See, I was unaware of all that when I first started playing the game, so I instantly just went to the regular controller because the D-pad is good for it, and X-rays are here. Well, you're level 3, which is MK's X-rays. But it seems like it doesn't matter if you choose stick or pad. Overall, whatever you're comfortable with, you're actually going to enjoy the overall mechanics of the game. I wasn't the biggest MK9 player, so the game does feel a little stiff to me, but I am chopping that up to my lack of skills and not to the overall game itself.
Yeah, I definitely think it's the type of game that the more you put into it, the more enjoyable it becomes gameplay-wise. And while having a good engine is great, Netherrealm is also known for being very high in content.
Definitely.
MK9 was probably one of the most feature-rich fighting games of this generation, and Injustice might even top it.
Yeah, it comes very close. I mean, Injustice does have the MK9 treatment where it has its own standalone story. The story mode is probably a little over 4 hours long, give or take. The cutscenes are very enjoyable. They, like we mentioned before, graphically they're not the best looking, but they are enjoyable. It's just good to see a fighting game with just the DC characters.
Yes.
And when they have the cutscenes of all of them kicking the crap out of one another, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a better package than the UMVC3 quote-unquote story mode, or even the MVC2 ending when they're all just chilling on a boat for no apparent reason.
No sense.
So yeah, guys, like, it has a full story. It's really legit. I definitely say play it. It's in there for a reason, even if you guys don't like single-player content. It's just like the MK one, where you go through chapter after chapter of all the characters in the game, or at least almost all of them. So you get at least a good sense of who you might like, who you might not like in the game.
Yeah, and what's very cool is, while it picks up right where MK left off, where you've got a cutscene, you jump right into a battle, it actually mixes things up with quick time events and kind of these interactive mini games that really just spice up the action compared to a traditional just fight. So I think that's really cool.
And if you guys are wondering, hey, I didn't read the comic books, will I not be able to follow the story to the game? Actually, you could, because I didn't get to read the comic books, unfortunately, before I started playing the game, and the story made perfect sense for me. And I know you've read them beforehand, so...
We'll talk about the comics more later. It definitely adds to the experience, but the overall story of Injustice is really designed for anyone to get into. It's an original story. You don't have to have a deep knowledge of just the DC mythology. You know, it's a fresh story. It's very, very intriguing to me right away, and I think everyone will enjoy it. I mean, you get a superhero movie with your fighting game, which is
definitely.
awesome. And obviously, that isn't all the content they have to offer. There's a ton more to play. Perhaps most notably, the Star Labs, which are a ton of mini games that I know you've played a lot.
The Star Lab missions was actually one of the things I was really excited for in the game because I really enjoy lots of single player content in a fighting game. But I actually love and hate it. It's fun for the fact that I have over 200 plus, you know, Star Labs to get. Not to mention all the other additional ones that are probably going to come out with the Seasons Pass. But they're not as fun as I thought they would be. Actually, some of them are a lot more challenging than I expected. The 3 stars that they want you to get for some of them kind of contradict themselves. Like one of them, they want you to walk forwards and then also do it at the same time, beat the stage walking backwards. So I don't know how you could do both at the same time, walking forward and backwards. So
they must want you to play it a lot.
Yeah, they might want you to play it over and over again. But other than that, I mean, I'm playing them just to get the XP, and also it's single player content. I'm not aiming to get all the 3 stars in all of them. As long as I beat it, I could go on to the next one.
Exactly, and that is still far from all the single player content that Injustice has to offer. If you're the classic arcade mode type, there's Battles mode, where it's just like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, or anything else. You go through a ladder of enemies, but what's interesting is that there are about probably 20 variations on this mode that you can unlock.
If you guys wonder how you unlock them, just quickly go to the archive section, and there's a section there that you unlock the battles one by one. And if you guys are wondering what's the point of unlocking them, they're actually some of them pretty interesting. One of them is beat all your opponents in under 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Can you beat the entire Injustice roster with 1 health bar?
That's insane.
Yeah, like really ridiculous battles, but it's fun. It gives a lot of variety. For that one person whose internet went out or they don't have an Xbox Live Gold membership and they want some heavy-duty single-player content.
I definitely think like achievement hunters and just single-player fanatics are just going to go nuts for this game because there's literally so much to do.
And if you guys are having a problem with one specific one and you keep losing over and over again, I've noticed, because I've lost over and over and over again, the computer actually dumps itself down by the 3rd or 4th time you get your ass kicked by it. At least it's a little forgiving and it gives you a shot to actually beat it. They don't go completely dumb, but they do fall for moves that they actually wouldn't have fallen for before.
Interesting. And what's great about Injustice is just about everything you do in the game earns you XP.
Yes.
And that allows you to level up, earn new items, and most importantly, unlock things in the archives.
Yeah, and just like we mentioned earlier, the archives is pretty much the crypt, like Mortal Kombat's the crypt. Everything is there. You could unlock extra battles, you could unlock concept art for all the characters, even though it's not fair. Some characters have 20 plus pages, some characters only have 8.
Poor Bane.
Yeah, poor Bane. You can unlock all the background music as well. Another cool thing that you could do is you could actually view all the backgrounds separately, and you could actually hit corresponding buttons to watch all the environmental destructions of the backgrounds.
That's awesome.
So yeah, if you guys are too busy playing the game, you never see how amazing the backgrounds look when they crumble and fall, you could go there, pick a background, move the screen from left to right, and choose which parts of the background you want to destroy, reset it, and then do it again.
That's super sick. Like we said before, it's literally going to take, probably months to unlock everything in this game, depending on how much you play.
Yeah.
But, even for a game with DLC coming out, you don't even really need to purchase any to get a ton of content.
No, not at all. I mean, the DLC is definitely an added bonus. And also in the archives, you guys are wondering where you could get all those awesome regime costumes. You got them in the archives as well. But yeah, if you guys skimp out on the Seasons Pass, I don't see how you would miss out. I mean, I've already bought the Seasons Pass because I want Lobo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to buy it. I love the game. I love Netherrealm, so I know I'm going to enjoy all the extra characters.
Definitely.
But whether you buy anything extra for it or not, you'll just have hours to unlock new stuff, which is great, which is rare in any game these days, unlockables. So obviously, single-player content is great, but a lot of you guys are probably watching this review just waiting for Injustice to play it competitively.
Yes, and that's where the online mode comes in. Now, the online mode for Injustice has gotten the same treatment as the MK9.
Yeah.
You have your standard, ranked matches, you have your standard non-ranked matches, and the King of the Hill is back as well. But this time it has a little spin.
Yeah, it's really cool. The King of the Hill mode, which is basically your endless lobby, winner stays on, they've actually added a wager system to it where you could bet your XP on matches, which is really awesome. It's a great way to kind of trash talk with your friends. It's almost like we see side bets going on at real tournaments. So they're bringing a virtual version of that to the online experience. I mean, I've heard nothing but positive things about the game's netcode on both platforms. As far as the game's balance competitively, I've heard mixed things. Apparently, people are finding touch of death combos using the interactables. So we'll see how that really pans out in tournament. I think organizers should just let it rock for a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it seems like a good amount of the cast is really powerful, so it's not like there's kind of just a single top tier right now.
Yeah, at first I was really worried by playing the demo. I was like, wow, the strong guys are going to pick up all the objects and destroy them, and that's not going to leave anything for the little guys. But it does add some strategy. Like if you have the little guys like Green Arrow and stuff like that, you have to make sure you get to those objects first and utilize them for what they are before Solomon and Grundy or Bane just destroy it and then you can't use it anymore.
Whether the interactive objects, they can be turned off.
Yes.
So whether they get used in tournaments or not has yet to be seen, but you know, as of now, the game is still fairly balanced. We'll just see how many players are going to be able to exploit, you know, certain tactics.
And one thing that they added for versus mode, which I think is really awesome, which goes back to gaining XP. For the Xbox One, I'm assuming the PS3 one might have the same option, but I know the PS3 always has problems with signing in multiple profiles. Yeah. But for the 360 one, Player 1 and Player 2 could both sign in their profiles equally, and in versus matches, both you guys could gain XP, which goes to your overall level, which is awesome. And not only that, but you guys could vote on what stage you want. Player 1 doesn't have the final say. Player 1 and Player 2, you both pick your options, which stage you want, and then mash the buttons as fast as possible. And whoever basically mashes the most buttons, their stage gets chosen.
That's such a great touch. And we were talking about before, it's just a classic nod to like the old school MK style, like test your mic kind of thing. How hard can you mash? And it's just cool. It's just kind of unheard of. A little subtle thing. That's great. So my final verdict on the game, just like Mortal Kombat 9 before it, I think Injustice is one of the most feature-rich fighting games on the market right now. It truly has something for everyone, whether you're a story person, whether you like to play arcade mode, whether you're obsessed with unlockables, and of course, if you're just a competitive player that, you know, loves to body your friends. So I feel like no matter what type of player you are, you'll get a great value out of it, and it's definitely a game you'll be playing for a while.
My final verdict is Netherrealm Studios did a pretty good job for their sophomore year release. The game actually surprised me a lot more than the demo. I was not a fan of the game since the demo. Thank God they finally added music to the backgrounds. The backgrounds have music. The overall single player content is what I had my fingers crossed for the entire time, and they delivered. I am not completely disappointed with the single player content. And like you said, Andronico, I mean, overall, mechanically, it looks fun. It's great. I mean, I don't remember the last time DC got their own fighting game, and it was actually good.
Yeah.
The last ones, I think, were on the Super Nintendo. Those awful, like, Justice League America games. So it's about time the DC characters finally step into the spotlight. Marvel's always had some of the dopest fighting games and also some of the worst ones as well. But, you know, DC's out there now, and it's really cool. And for you DC fans out there, I definitely recommend it. You're going to enjoy it, whether or not you become really good at the game or not. You're just going to overall enjoy the single-player content. And for our hardcore fighting game fans out there, MK9 community, rejoice. You got a new fighter to play with. And for the Street Fighter community, if you guys ever wanted to step your toes into the 3D environment, 3D world, this is the best game to do it.
Yeah, I think, you know, with how accessible it is, I think Injustice tournaments are going to draw in a really random selection of entrants.
Definitely.
Which is perfect, because we have a very Injustice-themed random select coming right now.
Random select.
So if you guys are leaving your house and you're like, man, I don't want to leave my house because I'm leaving my Injustice, you're actually not going to be leaving your Injustice at your house if you have an iOS device. We've mentioned it before on previous episodes. Injustice Gods Among Us is out for the iOS, and the reason why we're mentioning it again is all the little treats and goodies you get for having both the iOS and the console version together.
Yeah, it's funny that the mobile to console connectivity that we've always been dreaming of, it's happening better than ever with a phone.
Yes.
You know, at the core level, the Injustice iOS game lets you unlock costumes, icons, and backgrounds that you can get in the actual retail game just simply by making a Warner Brothers account and linking the two.
Yeah.
But what's really awesome is it works both ways. So reaching a certain level in the console game gets you coins in the mobile games that lets you unlock new stuff. It's this really cool cycle that'll really keep you hooked on both games.
For all of you guys out there who have both games, the first thing I highly recommend doing is going to battle, pick Classic, beat it, and you'll actually unlock a bronze booster pack for the iOS game.
Yeah,
so
it's fantastic. I was pleasantly surprised yesterday. I was spending some time on the toilet, and of course, I took out Injustice.
Yeah.
What else would you do?
Yeah.
And I got 5,000 coins in the game just for landing a super move in the console game. So the rewards are pretty much endless. So we definitely recommend playing both. It lets you experience Injustice all day long. I mean, what's better than that?
Yeah, and if you guys are wondering what to do when your phone is dead because you've been playing Injustice for so long, you actually have the comic books to read.
Yes. So I've mentioned them before on the show. But there is a Injustice comic series. It's actually still going. They're available in these small digital editions or larger print editions if you're willing to wait. And we've got them right here. I find them really enjoyable. They basically expand on the mythology going on in the Injustice game. So far, what I've read is kind of a prequel, a setup for what's to come, but it also really shows off some behind-the-scenes stuff that you don't get to see. You know, characters that you probably don't get to see as much of in the story mode. They get fleshed out more here. It's written by Tom Taylor. He's doing a great job so far, and the art is fantastic. It's very graphic, which is fitting because Injustice is essentially Mortal Kombat minus the fatalities. So, you know, just like the iOS game expands the experience, if you're a comic fan or you just want more of the Injustice story, I strongly recommend reading the comic book.
And once you guys are done reading the comic book and it's time to go to sleep and you can't sleep without music playing, you got the Injustice Gods Among Us soundtrack to listen to.
Yep, which is, I believe, some original songs actually written for the game.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to much of it. I know bands like AWOL Nation and Rise Against are on it, so check out the track list. If you see a band you like, maybe pick it up.
Have you seen the credits? Because they have actually a specific song playing in the credits, and it sounds like Depeche Mode, but it probably is.
I think it is Depeche Mode.
It
they
is?
actually are
Awesome.
one of the marquee bands on the soundtrack. So if you like any of the bands I mentioned, or you just literally never want to be away from Injustice even when you're sleeping, like Natal said, just pick up the soundtrack. You got, at this point, you bought the comic, downloaded the app, you have the game. I mean, next thing you need is a Batman mask. Oh, look. Got that right here.
And with that, I'm Batman.
And I'm Natal.
And remember, guys,
Keep fighting.
keep fighting for Gotham.